Hey everybody, it's Carpo. Hope you're all doing well today. Sitting in my car waiting to start work, but before I do, I wanted to make a quick video. Of course, I have been really involved with the idea of Plato and Socrates and some of the theories that they had on the world, and came across something really interesting that I wanted to share. Now, there's a lot of us out there that are searching for the meanings behind symbols. And I've said in previous videos that, there's no person that's going to be able to translate one symbol for you. For example, take a circle or a square. You'll get a dozen different answers to what those things mean. And they're just shapes. But I wanted to kind of lay into this a little bit because I think that this might help some people to understand, because it did for me, the idea that during Plato's time, see, Plato believed in a geometric universe, and that was the Socratic way. Socrates believed that geometry was the root of life, that geometry was the root of everything, and this is carried on to this very day in all types of, the occult knowledge and, the Freemasons and all these different organizations using the symbol. But the root of the triangle is kind of what I wanted to tackle here. And you see the triangle a lot in, occult symbology. And most often it's associated with the Freemasons, with the G in the center. And even with the letter G, you'll get a dozen answers. Some people say it means geometry, some people say it means God. Well, maybe it means both. But the triangle itself was derived from the idea that Plato believed that the universe, was the atomists, the pro-atomists, the ones who believed that the world and the universe was made up of very small components, and they called them atoms. To this very day, we're still trying to kind of identify exactly what atoms are, and we seem to think that we have a grasp on it, but it's elusive. But in their time, they believed that, Plato believed that the world was made, that the universe was made out of triangles, because the triangle is the simplest geometric shape that has an area. And that's something that needs to be considered, of course. But this can tie in with the Holy Trinity and all the ideas of three, but mostly it's just saying that they believe that the universe was made up of very tiny components, and that they know that the smallest possible shape it could be would be a triangle. Because with a triangle you can make larger triangles, with a triangle you can make squares, you can make rectangles, you can make octahedrons, dodecahedrons, you name it. A triangle can make everything. Every kid knows from class and school, you take a bunch of triangles and make shapes. So this, in its essence, really lays kind of a foundation for why the triangle has been so important. So if you take a triangle with a G in it and you consider it geometry, then you would basically be saying that in the pro-atomist way of thinking, this is the root of the universe. This is everything. This is the building block. As humans, we can't grasp what God is, and we try really hard, but when you look back on ancient cultures, people like Socrates in their time, almost a few thousand years has passed since then, Plato would speak of how he yearned for a better time, a time when people were more aware. In other words, they were yearning for the same thing that we're yearning for right now. In that time, when we think maybe they had it made, they know they didn't, and they were thinking of a time, thousands of years before them. In Socrates' time, that's only a hop, skip, and a jump back in time. I mean, we've got ancient cultures that go back 10,000+ years, and so it seems like every generation's looking towards the past, looking at the past generation to say, they had it made, they really had it. Even today, we look back at, sometimes people have looked back at our parents and said, oh man, they had it made. Look at what they had in the 50s and the 60s, everything was fine. Of course, we know that's not true now. just because a person believes that the past was better doesn't mean it was. And with the availability of modern information, we can look back and say, oh, it wasn't that great. For the people of Socrates' time, they couldn't look back on anything except for past words and writings that had been passed down thousands of years. So they had this image of what the past was like, but they really didn't know. Now, we have a better image of the past now than we ever have because of, excavation and archaeology. But it just reminds me that no matter how much we think that we have moved forward, there always seems to be something in the back of our mind that says that we wish we could move backward. And I think that that's a universal cause. I think that that's part of who we are as humans. We're always looking for something better, the next thing. And I think that that's programmed into us to help us to move forward so we don't stagnate. And but none of us can determine whether or not stagnation is or what stagnation is, in other words. A person could spend their entire life looking into knowledge but really gain nothing in the insight of being a human and part of society. Or a person could become a very upstanding member of society with a lot of friends but really have no knowledge whatsoever to base that upon. And we can speculate in our minds all we want about things, and we can tell ourselves what we think things are, but in the end we have to compare our notes. And sometimes we've been led to believe certain things, and sometimes they're true, sometimes they're not. I found that sometimes the symbology is simpler. People try to make it way too complex, throw a bunch of numbers and decimal points and say these are fractions of this and this means this. No, anybody who understands numbers knows that you can reduce numbers to just about anything you want. If you're looking for something, a pattern within nature, if you're looking for a pattern within numbers, you'll find it because they're there. Everything is a pattern. So we yearn for that pattern, to understand that pattern, so we can pattern things after it. Moving forward as humans, it's funny because we think we've done so well. I always compare. I think about back in the 90s when fleece. I know this sounds kind of off base, but when fleece became really popular, not real fleece, but plastic fleece made from recycled pop bottles. Back in the 90s, everybody was buying fleece coats. Everybody had fleece. And it was so warm, but that was just our yearning to believe that we could improve upon nature's fleece. Go back in time and you'll see that there's plenty of natural products that can outdo any kind of man-made products, but we're trying so hard, we're trying so hard to one-up nature, and it shows us that its patterns are much more compatible than we realized. And so if we pattern ourselves after nature rather than trying to create patterns to beat nature, better off. That's my opinion. And those are my thoughts on the triangle. Peace.